Welcome back to the Early Weigh-In podcast. We're your hosts as always, Preston. My co-host with me as always, Tyler. Man, sorry about missing last week. I was feeling a bit under the weather with Tyler away on his first business trip and stuff there with the job. So had to put the podcast on hold, man. Sorry about the late start, but big plans for the podcast, man. I promise we are getting around to all of them slowly but surely, man. With the break there, we did have, Darren Till and Robert Whitaker's fight card to recap a little bit. And we just had the Derrick Brunson and Edmund Shabazian fight card, what was left of it last Saturday anyway. So, I mean, couple fights, man, that I just want to break down. Tanner Boser got it done inside the distance again, man. I know both of us are starting to become some real fans of him, and if they lay out dog money inside the distance again, I will absolutely be playing that again, man, against Andrei Arlovsky. I think it's a good match for him.
I was really excited to see UFC re-signing him, getting that new contract, and I think that he's going to have some success in heavyweight. He's shown that he can fight those bigger heavyweights, and he's produced.
Right.
So
just so much lighter on the feet, man. So much quicker hands than all of those guys. He has no problem being in there with a much bigger guy. It's awesome.
Right.
Next fight for me, man, I like to talk about the Tom Aspinall. I got him at the minus 225 favorite, and he looked like he should have been, the bigger favorite in there.
Yeah, that was that easy money first round TKO you called.
Over overweight Jake Collier, 3 layoff.
Looked terrible coming in there. Absolutely terrible.
Easy money for me, man. I know we were both kind of high on Dalby. We both took it under 2.5 rounds, but Brunson's hands look good.
Yeah, I was happy that our bet cashed under 2.5 rounds. Definitely not the way I saw it going though. Right. Yeah, you got to give it to Jesse Ronson. He actually pieced him up in there. So, hats off to him, but I really thought Dalby was going to get it done.
And then, man, no other words for me than fuck Trinaldo, missing by 5 pounds and going out there and ruining my bet in the third round.
100%.
Jai looked good up until that point.
Jai did look good, but I think both of us said we saw that Francisco really started making those changes later on in the rounds, and before the knockout in the third round, it really started turning in his favor.
It did.
He showed that his experience and just UFC experience. It really showed. He started changing it up and winning those rounds towards the end.
Any fights on the main card, man, that you want to discuss?
We can't skip over Khamzat.
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, I understand everybody's on his nuts right now, and rightfully so. I've never seen anybody that dominant, but I'm definitely interested in seeing him take that step up in competition and at least get somebody, one, in his weight class, and two, that's not on their UFC debut.
Yeah, for sure, man. Antagulav got to be on his way out, man. Paul Craig finishes you in the first round. I think that's 3 losses in a row by finish or something.
Not to mention, but I'm pretty sure we called it by sub too.
I'm pretty sure we did as well, man. There's huge size discrepancy there.
Yeah,
he
definitely showed it.
Right?
Did you say the Esparza fight?
Yeah, I said she went and ruined our night there, man.
She really did. Even though I do think that it could have gone Rodriguez's way. Yeah. She definitely landed more damage, but I could understand how Carla controlled the fight.
Talk about night ruiner. The next fight there.
Oh, God.
Man.
Yeah, so I called you crazy earlier in the week for picking that, and I ended up jumping on the boat and picking Gus as well. I think that is a nice little look at what our main event this weekend is going to look like as well. But that sucked. Was first round sub.
Yeah.
He made it look easy, and it was just the bigger man who's a better grappler getting a hold of him. So
that's all it took, man. Main event there. Good fight, man. It was a good fight. You called the oblique kick, man. That ruined Darren's knee.
Yeah, it sure did. And, honestly, during the fight, I didn't think that it had done much damage, but obviously it stopped his movement pretty early on. I think that happened in the second round.
Right. Yeah.
Like that.
And he's torn MCL or something like that, man. I know he's out a couple months now.
And then I think we also saw, Darren's one-dimensional fight style. It really, towards the fourth and fifth round, I was more or less calling, okay, straight left, high left kick, straight left, high left kick, over and over again. And every single one of them, like I said, the left high kick, it's going to be telegraphed. So you saw Whitaker blocking it easily.
Yeah. Whitaker now matched up with Cannonier, man, for the next number one contender. That's a really good fight.
It's a tough-ass fight. I'd hate to be the guy to fight Cannonier right now. He's a dark horse of that division, and I think on any given night he could beat anybody in 185.
And, man, this past Saturday, you called it all week, man. You called it all week. Brunson looked good, bro. He's the new Brunson, dude. He's patient in there. He's not chasing people, and man, he has power. So if he's patient and he lands one on you, it tends to shock a lot of people, man. A lot of people were saying if Edmund didn't get it done in the first round that he wasn't going to win, man, and they were all right, brother. He gassed after that first round bad.
Yeah, I agree. It I think the biggest telling sign for me whenever the odds initially came out was just the level of competition that Brunson had lost to prior to this fight. I mean, it's only the best of the best that he's lost to, and he was in a lot of those winning before he lost them. So, I've just seen that he was proven, and the fact that Shabazian was whatever minus 300 plus, I just didn't see that being justified, especially with the level of competition he had fought. I did a breakdown of the record of his opponents, and it was a total of 92-90. So he's fighting a 500 record opponents, and he had, before the Darren Stewart fight, less than 13 minutes of fight time inside the octagon. I mean, he was as green as it gets fighting a absolute veteran in Brunson. And it wasn't necessarily that I thought Brunson was going to come out and do what he did, but I definitely thought the odds maker were doing him an injustice, giving him a plus 240 dog odds.
Yeah. Co-main event, man. Looks like Jennifer Maia's getting the next title shot against Valentina. I'm glad they didn't give Calderwood Valentina after that layoff because, man, Joanne, a Muay Thai specialist, and, I mean, she was just getting tagged on the feet, man. She had zero head movement, got hit with a ton of right hands. And when it hit the mat, it was game over for her, man. She had nothing for Jennifer Maia there.
She looked outclassed in every aspect of the fight game, and it sucks that she was trying to take that fight to stay active, but I think that proves that you shouldn't do that. Maybe she just wasn't ready for the fight, because like you said, she was getting outstruck by Jennifer Maia, and that's your bread and butter, and you're not competing on a championship level against Jennifer Maia. You're sure as hell not going to do it against Shevchenko.
Yeah. I called all the Randy Brown bettors crazy, man. Don't bet against my boy. Outside of Wonder Boy, man, there's not anybody that he's not really stepped in there. Wonder Boy and Mike Perry, man. I think that's the only fights Vicente has really not something, dude.
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, Leon. I mean, so it's Leon Edwards and
Wonder Boy are no slouches.
He losses, man, and for a guy who is flat-footed, I mean, he bounces around good for the first round, but after that, Vicente is pretty. I'm going to stay in here in the pocket with you, man. And Leon and Wonder Boy, there's people that you can't do that with. They're going to now stand around and outpoint you, which is something, Randy Brown, I mean, had potential to do, but Luque went out there and from round one shut that movement down with that calf kick, man. He executed an excellent game plan to finish that fight.
100%. I was really looking at Randy Brown's height and reach advantage, taking that into consideration. He had the body to have the same type of outcome as Wonder Boy, or at least try and fight the same fight as Wonder Boy did. But like you said, Vicente, he started compromising that leg early on, and it showed. He just got slower and slower, and Vicente was able to close that distance, and it was game over. He kind of saw it coming after the first couple leg kicks. He kind of saw where that fight was going.
Yeah, man, I think it only finished with like 8 fights on the whole card there. The prelim main event, I was even before the miss weight, I was all over the Jonathan Martinez straight up and inside the distance, man. Just like a 13-year age gap, bigger in size, a much more active fighter and stuff there. I mean, exactly what I thought was going to happen, man. Frankie's too tough for his own good a little bit, dude.
I agree. I was just impressed in his durability, just flat out. For him being 40 years old and taking that kind of punishment, that's something. I don't know if it's a good thing, but that is something to note, at least.
I was watching a post-fight video where Martinez said in the second round, he after he dropped him with one of those head kicks, he begged him to stay down, man. He didn't want to hit him anymore.
Dang.
Yeah, and then the Munoz Mans fight, tough fight, went to distance, and Jamal Emmers, man, late change of opponent, but it was a nice change of opponent for him. Somebody he got to stand there and tee off on.
I agree. Let's not skip over the Lando Bobby fight.
Lando Bobby, you're right, bro. That was such a good fight, man. I told you, man, after those videos, Bobby gained a fan, man. I knew he had a rough life growing up, but to hear it coming out of his mouth, bro, and you can tell that the hard work is paying off for him, man. To listen to him shout, "I just paid my house off" and stuff. To see him doing good with the money, man, it's nice to see somebody come from nothing and still do good with what he's at right now.
It's hard not to root for somebody who really leaves it all out on the table in that post-fight interview. He had really come on the bad side of a bunch of decision losses, and his record showed it. He was like 1-6 in his last 7, something crazy like that. So I was happy to see him get re-signed. He was happy with the money he was making on his contract, and then the first fight out, he wins. I was happy about that. Not happy about Lando's performance. I think you mentioned it whenever we were watching it. Kind of looked like a punching bag out there.
Yeah.
Almost, just sticking his face out there so he could take a jab to try and give it back, but he just wasn't quick enough. Bobby Green's hands were a little bit too fast. He was able to throw that jab out quick enough to where Lando couldn't react to it in time.
Yeah, Lando's nose, man, gives him issues almost immediately in every fight where he gets tagged in it too. And he throws just a lot of kicks, just a weird style that I feel like you really only have about a round and a half in you, you know?
It's exciting. I have to give him that. Like, hopefully the UFC doesn't cut him because it's always going to be a good fight with him in it. But like you said, if he's not landing his kicks, I don't see him finishing many.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. So those are the past 2 weeks worth of fights, man. Anything else you want to wrap up before we dive into this week's?
Let's see.
Mike Perry's girlfriend's pregnant.
Saw that. I also saw where his ex is wanting to speak on Joe Rogan about something. I don't know what that's going to be, but that I'm sure that's not good news for Perry.
Freaking Izzy and Costa got announced at the Apex, man. We talked about that earlier. Not good.
And it's
Israel, man.
Yeah, it being the shorter octagon, it's that does not help Israel in his movement.
Yeah,
Costa's going to look to back you up against that cage and just start throwing bombs. And Izzy's been susceptible to that in his kickboxing career.
We got some nice pay-per-views, man. The headliners for these next 3 pay-per-views are very nice, man.
We really do. We're getting spoiled. And
the co-main of the next pay-per-view, man.
What is it?
252. It's DC and Stipe and Tito and Sean.
Sean got moved up. Yeah.
Man, he's getting his name up there for real.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that he's got that star power for sure. So I hope that he can get it done. Huge opportunity right here. I actually was a little bit more comfortable with him headline or being the first fight on the main card. I was a little bit more comfortable with that, but shoot, if he comes out there and wins this one, he could headline a fight night next time out. Easy.
Absolutely, man. A lot of younger guys just don't have the mindset on him like Sean has, man. He was made for the spotlight. I don't have any worries about him getting bumped up. I think he loves it, you know.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, he's definitely cocky, but he sounded that way before the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series win. It seems to be just him. He's in his element, like you said, and I'm excited for his future.
Absolutely, brother. Anything else, man?
No, I know that people are I've heard some negative comments on this week's card, but I'm actually really excited. I think we got some good fights coming up.
I think we got some good ones, man. From bottom to top, brother, as always. Let's dive in.
All right, let's go. So this first one, the Erwin Rivera versus Aliao Kwesi. Looking at it, I thought that it was kind of odd that we were getting heavy odds on Erwin Rivera. I think he got up into the 190s, minus 190s at one point. Looks like right now we're sitting at about a minus 170 with Kwesi being a plus 170. This was actually one of my underdog picks. Kwesi, I started looking at his record. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and 2 of his 3 losses are his first 2 fights ever. So I can't. I'm not going to look too much at that. It could be nerves. It could have been a learning curve, whatever. But since those 2 losses, he's done extremely well. And 2 of his 3 losses are to lightweights, and he's currently a bantamweight. So I mean, obviously, if he's fighting guys that are bigger than him, he's had problems. But I've seen him do really well in his correct weight class. Like at bantamweight, he looks really good. And then on the flip side, Irwin Rivera, he's coming off that loss to Giga. He took a beating. I rewatched that fight. He took 5-6 knees to the head and just ate him. From that fight, I got that he was really durable. And I know he was fighting at 145, but he has a very wide frame. So I'm curious to see him cut down to 135 and just see how that frame holds up at 135. What are you thinking about it?
Yeah, man, it's you got to note there that the Irwin Rivera, versus Giga at 45, so it's up 10 pounds, and you're fighting some guy with, such an extensive kickboxing record. He's got twice the fight experience with you, but, I mean, no other words for Irwin other than just tough as nails, brother. He throws everything into all his punches, all his kicks. I think he does tend to slow down. Back at the normal weight class, though, so, hopefully we do see, a much better Irwin Rivera. He's got an opponent, who's not going to be giving up a ton of size to or anything. For Kaise here, man, you really hit all the things that I was going to say too, man. You started off with, losing your first 2 fights, and since then, man, you're 8-1. He's really seemed to find his groove. Does like a grappling heavy approach, which I really do feel is the way to beat Irwin here, man. He doesn't have the size to keep him at the distance. If he comes out here with the grappling heavy approach, I like him to win 2 of the 3 rounds here as well, man. I think we both said we like a decision here. In on it, but first fight of the night. But we both got to play on the underdog here. I think that's one of the better underdogs to bet on the night right there.
I would agree. Moving on from that, this is the fight that I would stay away from completely. It's Youseff Zalal versus Peter Barrett in the featherweight class. You've got Zalal sitting right now at a -375 and Barrett as a +275. So let me start off by saying Zalal should win this fight. I would bet straight up that Zalal wins this fight, but I would not bet those odds whatsoever. He's 10 years younger than Peter. He's on a 3-fight win streak. And after watching his last fight, I think it was against Austin Lingo. His footwork is impressive. I mean, the way he moves around the octagon and changes direction, he fights like Izzy, like Wonder Boy. He's able to switch his stance, and he's really good at disguising his kicks whenever he's attacking. He can throw together a combination and kind of get off to the side like TJ Dillashaw does, and that was something to note for sure. I also watched one of his losses to I forgot the guy's name, but he was a judo practitioner. Whenever he came in, he rushed Zalal and gave him real trouble just by putting that pressure on him, keeping him back up against the cage, and not letting him utilize that footwork. Where Peter, he is a usual 155er, and he's coming down, so he's going to be pretty big for the division. He's riding a 2-fight win streak right now. And so I just got to hope that his game plan is to put that pressure on him, start utilizing some leg kicks to try and slow down that movement and avoid those knees that Zalal has. Outside of that, I do have Youseff winning. Anything else you got to add on that?
Yeah, man, the odds a little bit disrespectful, but I think Youseff got this one. So we did note Peter is coming down, but man, I actually think Zalal has a little bit of size on him still, man. I think Barrett actually might be an inch or 2 shorter. Gonna have to pressure him, man. He's gonna have to probably eat a few of Zalal. We haven't seen a ton of power on Zalal's part. Before getting into the UFC, he finished every single one of the fights that he had won. So still searching for his first UFC win or first UFC finish. Prides himself on staying ready. Zalal trains out of Factory X. He is one of the young guys who is ready 24/7. He prides himself on not needing a training camp. He's ready to fight when he gets the call. Don't know if the same can be said for Peter Barrett there. You like to think, he's got a good camp since he's wanting to go down a weight class. He trains out of Lausanne MMA. They breed some tough motherfuckers up there, bro. So I think Zalal, like you said, does have a tough fight on his hands. But Slippery Pete, man, a couple years ago found himself, losing like 3 out of 4 of his fights and stuff. Kind of had a little bit of a career resurgence, and I don't think he's going to win here. I think he can make it real competitive if he puts Zalal on his back foot. But if he doesn't pressure Zalal, we might see a finish here, to be honest. I think Zalal will keep him at distance and really, really pick him apart and maybe catch him coming in. Peter's definitely going to have to take one to land one in this fight, I think.
100%. He'll just have to close that distance.
But, I mean, it's a fight, man, and with these young guys right here, we have seen Zalal, be on a 2-fight skid himself before and stuff before getting his UFC call. Odds a little bit disrespectful in my opinion, but I do think Zalal a pretty safe pick there, but not a lot of value there, man, at the minus, I think 325 or something that he's at right now.
100%. I think anybody with under 15 fights on their record, you should be careful of betting heavy favorites like that. They're still young, regardless of what anybody says. They're still young, so.
Man, our next fight here, don't mind if I get this one started. We got Justin Jaynes at 16-4. He's fighting 11-1 Gavin Tucker. Currently, they have Tucker at the minus 140, slight underdog with the comeback on Jaynes. Now at the plus 110. I snagged Jaynes at the plus 165 2 weeks ago. This surprisingly buried this low. This is going to be one of the better fights on the whole card. I really do think, man. Both guys, they come to put on a show. Both guys will go out on their shield, man. They come in there to put on fun fights. Jaynes, one of the coaches at Extreme Couture, just took a short notice fight against Frank Camacho and put his lights out in the first round, man. He hit him with left hook after left hook. He's on a 5-fight win streak, finishing 4 of those in a row now. Man, I was happy to get him at dog money here. He's on fire, man. You're feeling yourself. When you got 5 wins in a row, it's really hard for me to bet against you when you're stepping in against Gavin Tucker, who's had 1 fight in the last 2 years. In the same time span, Jaynes has had those 5. We've seen Gavin Tucker just fight 1 time. He did fight Sam Cecilia, in which made him look like the damn second coming of Christ, man. We would have thought Gavin Tucker was destined to win the belt. Then you give him Rick Glenn, and that was one of the worst one-sided beatdowns I've ever witnessed in my life. 2-year layoff after that, get your mind right. I was telling you, man, if that was a beating that I for real, I don't know if I'd fight again. Rick Glenn is by no means going to be a champion one day. And for a guy to come out there and just, piece you up like that, it's got to be discouraging. Took a big layoff, came back, got himself a submission win over someone on the Asian circuit there, I think, on their UFC debut. Then he took another long layoff, man. So he's got another year layoff here where Jaynes has just been, fighting once, twice a year and stuff and finishing all these opponents. I like how active he's been. We've seen Gavin Tucker take a beating before. Like I said, I think this is a really good fight, man. I think this is one of the slept-on fights on the card. Glad to take Justin Jaynes at the plus 165 there. I think his hands are a little bit better. And I think he's a tougher individual, man. I think he actually might get Gavin Tucker out of there on Saturday night.
So if I could have gotten Justin Jaynes at plus 165, I think I would have been tempted to take it for sure. Now I think that, any underdog pick on this one for Justin Jaynes is a decent bet. I just don't know if I see the route to victory for him. Now those 5 wins, they're all KOs, first round. Yeah, they're all first round KOs. So we see that he can start hot. I mean, he can start hot. And Gavin Tucker, yeah, he's had some big layoffs, but like you said, he took that 2-year layoff before his last victory. I think that really got his mind right. When he came out, he looked like new and improved Gavin Tucker. I was happy with his performance that night. So I'm curious to see somebody who is starting to, maybe take that time off to get his mind right and get prepared. Come in. He's only lost once, like you said, to Rick Glenn. And, you mentioned Rick Glenn. He's no slouch. He's not going to be a champion, but he's definitely no slouch. He's got wins over Dennis Bermudez, which is definitely notable. And maybe it was just too big of a step too early in Gavin Tucker's career. But still at 11-1. I'm tempted to take him if the odds get any closer to even towards that fight, just because I think that he should get it done, because I don't see an avenue to victory for Justin unless it's a first round KO. Once again, I'm curious to see how it goes. I saw in the Gavin Tucker Rick Glenn fight, I don't see him getting knocked out in the first round. Dude's tough as could be. So that's one thing I'd work at, or I'm having difficulties working around, is seeing how Justin gets it done outside of that first round against somebody like Gavin Tucker.
Nice. Our next fight, man, it's there. Not the best one. We got 11-5 Andrew Sanchez fighting the 16-3 Wellington Thurman. They got Thurman as the -160 favorite, with the comeback on Sanchez being at the +130. The guys are matched up well, in my opinion, as far as skill level wise, where they are in the rankings. It's a good matchup for them. Neither one of them really excite me. They both are slick on the ground, man. Thurman is, I think he's like 8-9 years younger or something like that. That's what I keep having to just lean to, man. We've seen Andrew Sanchez been finished on his feet before at like 30-something. I just wonder if, I think he's still early in the 30s. I wonder how the age difference is going to be there. Andrew Sanchez has definitely been in the octagon with the better people. But, man, I think Wellington Thurman's probably just going to take this one with a little bit of advantages in the youth and athleticism there. But it's a good matchup as far as where they're at in the rankings. I'm going to go with Wellington Thurman.
So I think I'm also going to go with Wellington. I think that this they'll end up standing in there and banging. I honestly do. I think that'll be a stand-up war. And like you said, I would lean towards Wellington to get it done just off of pure athleticism and power. If it does go into those later rounds, I see value on Sanchez. If it goes into those later rounds, I could see him using some of that vet experience or UFC experience to maybe point his way to victory. But if it goes down how I think it is, which it'll just be a slugfest, I see Wellington clipping him and getting it done within 2.
Nice. Our next fight, man, we got some young guys. We got the 11-3 Nasrat Haqparast fighting the 6-0 undefeated Alex Munoz, man. They got Nasrat at a slight big favorite again, man. The -235, I think, is what it's at. And the Alex Munoz is at the +185. I mean, I don't know if they learned the first time putting Nasrat that big of a favorite, but he got KO'd in the first round by Drew Dober, man. Drew Dober's had a little bit of a career resurgence lately. Looked really good lately. So can't really fault him for that. But Nasrat's a very good young prospect. I think we looked earlier. He's our age, man, like 24. He's got a long time ahead of him and stuff there. He trains at a TriStar MMA, which when you have a fighter out of there, he's got an excellent skill set. Yeah, he's got the wrestling, he's got the hands. So yeah, Nasrat is going to come prepared in all situations. Munoz is he's known for giving Nick Newell his first loss on the Contender Series. Outside of that, man, Alex is looking to wrestle you, and Nick Newell is his best competition, best name on his resume and stuff. So part of me just probably going to lean with the more experienced, the better camp in Nasrat. But Alex Munoz is not a bad dog pick, man.
No, I don't think he is at all. You talked about Nasrat's loss to Dober. We can't fault him for that. We were just talking about the, Dober, like you said, the career resurgence. I think we're going to mention him later on in tonight as well. Excited to see him come back. A little off topic, but I am excited to see Drew Dober come back. He's looked great recently. Nasrat, his best win, I guess it's the Mark Dicasey win.
Yeah.
That would be the one that I'd, maybe point or look at the most if I'm looking at this fight. That being said, Mark, he's not a wrestler. This is a completely different skill set that he's facing in Alex Munoz. Definitely a tough UFC debut to face Nasrat in his debut. And like you said, the Nick Newell fight may be the only fight that you can gain anything from, being at the experience level that he'll be fighting in the UFC. Coming from Team Alpha Male, I like that. I know Uriah is pretty high on him. Definitely excited to see what happens. Him being only 6-0, that inexperience could come into play. But if he can execute the wrestling game plan like he said he has, he could definitely win this. And I don't think odds are doing him any justice. If it were me, I think it'd be closer to a +150, -150. But a +200, I think that's all right odds, and I wouldn't be upset to take that at all.
Absolutely not, man. Go ahead with the next one.
Yeah, so the next fight, Tim Means versus Laureano Staropoli. This is a welterweight fight, and I like a Tim Means underdog pick right here. They're starting him off. I think I got him at a plus 125. Some things to note is he's got a 3.5-inch reach advantage over Laureano. He is coming off of a win of Thiago Alves, and even in that Nico Price loss where he got absolutely, demolished, he was winning that fight up until the KO. That's definitely something to note. He was outclassing Nico on the feet until he got knocked out. Couple more things is Tim, he's an accurate puncher. I don't see a lot of one-punch knockout power from him, but he's definitely very accurate and can throw that volume to help him in the judge's eyes if it ever goes to decision. He also fights somewhat tall, so I think that'll work out in his advantage, having the reach advantage and then also fighting tall. Then when you look at Laureano, he's coming off the loss to Muslim Sakalov. Can't fault him for that. Muslim's a terror at 170. Really excited to see him fight next. It's a common opponent, but they both beat Thiago Alves. I think you said Tim Means, he finished him, and Laureano got the decision win. I just think that Laureano's still green, and I watched one of his fights where it looks like he has he's a slow starter. He had a definite feeling out process. I think he landed 8 significant strikes in the first round, 15 in the second, and 28 in the third. So you definitely saw like a progression of him getting a little bit more confident in his striking. And I don't think that he's going to get that luxury when fighting Tim Means. Tim Means going to come out right off the bat and start putting that pressure on you, collecting those points. And so I've got Tim Means by decision here.
Yeah, man. Tim Means needs to win here. 2 wins in his last, I think, like 6 fights or something like that, man. Definitely needs a win here, but I mean, this is just straight veteran versus prospect still, in my opinion. Tim Means has as many, more losses than Laureano even has fights, man.
Nice, yeah.
Tim Means has been in the UFC for a long time. You touched on his hands, man. He's volume. He's like the Diaz brothers, man. You're not going to go out there and knock you out, but he will put 4 and 5 punch combos, on you to put you away. Both the guys, they are coming off the UFC or coming off a loss. Tim Means was handed Daniel Rodriguez, somebody with equally as good of hands and just much younger and stuff. It was a bad fight there for him, in my opinion. Something to note here, man. Staropoli's opponents are garbage. I mean, just straight garbage. I don't even know until he got in the UFC if he fought a guy with a winning record. The only guy with a winning record I believe he fought before the UFC was 4-0, and he finished Laureano in the first round on his feet. And to see somebody get finished on their feet by somebody, I mean, it's young in your career. I don't like to look at it too much, but Tim Means can finish you on the damn feet, man. He has got smooth hands. Staropoli is definitely going to come out here with a grappling heavy approach, man. Just like he did with Thiago Alves and stuff. He has to take away your weapons. I'm worried about him gaining steam as the fight goes on. Tim Means maybe losing that last round or something. But Tim Means is the best underdog pick on this entire fight card, in my opinion. Just triple the experience, much better in the stand-up, and every round starts standing. Staropoli is not somebody that's going to come out here and ragdoll you like Khabib or anything, man. Tim Means is going to be able to get back up to his feet. He's got super underrated wrestling. He's very tall and lanky, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Tim submits him on the bottom, dude. I really wouldn't. I don't know what the odds are saying here, man. I know
right now they closed at plus 120 for Tim Means and minus 130.
I will gladly take that, man, to have a guy with triple the experience who needs a win bad. He's backed in the corner, man, and that's not somebody you want to bet against. I like Tim Means to get that one done as well.
What do you have him finishing it by?
I think I got a decision as well, actually.
Decision.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think you're even spot on the rounds. I think Tim Means wins the first 2 rounds and Laureano wins the last.
Yeah.
So
we did skip over Kevin Holland, man, 17-5, taking on the newcomer Joaquin Buckley. Kevin Holland closing right now. Well, not closing. Fight's not started yet, but minus 450, man. So pretty heavy favorite there with Buckley coming back at the plus 350. Holland finally got himself a fight, man. I was actually looking forward to that Trevin Giles fight. I thought that was going to be a good fight between those two guys. I hate that what happened 10 seconds before he's about to walk out, and I hate that Holland didn't have somebody else there that could take a fight. He is 100% the type of guy to take anybody else on that roster. You'll take fucking Thiago Santos as your debut fight in the UFC, man.
He tried taking that Ed Herman fight.
That's what I'm saying, man. He tried taking the Marcus Perez fight. Like, he doesn't care, bro. He will go to 205. I love that about Kevin Holland. He loves to fight. He does not care who he's in there with, and he might be skinny, but he's got great size, so he doesn't need to be scared about getting in there with a 205 or by no means. Right. If he put on some muscle, he could easily be a 205er himself. The fact that he's made 170 multiple times blows my mind,
Yeah.
Buckley, in my opinion, built like Charles Bird. He's 5'9", but the 185 pounds, man, just a physical specimen. He is on a 2-fight win streak, but watching a man, just power in his hands if he doesn't get it done early, taking the fight on short notice. Holland should win this one regardless, but the later the fight goes, the more I feel like Kevin Holland's going to make it look pretty seamless if it hits the mat, man. I got Kevin Holland sub.
I agree. You got to watch out for the power in Buckley's hands right off the jump. Outside of that, Kevin Holland wins it every day of the week. I thought for sure you were going to bring up Kevin Holland's post-fight interviews. He was talking about how he thinks. I mean, that's a rough accusation right there, saying that Trevin Giles held his breath and made himself pass out before the fight. Like, I hope that they have to fight again so that Giles gets to address that for sure. And then he also was talking about how he watched his dad smoke people growing up, and he's on that I'll eat your kids type level right now. So Kevin Holland, as far as his mindset, I think that he's looking for blood, and I'm definitely excited. I think that he'll get it done, and probably within the distance. So if there's any value on betting that fight under, do you think under 1.5 would even be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd stick with the 2.5.
Yeah, I'd hope that that's the option, is the 2.5. But if 1.5 is there and it's it's decent odds, I'll pick that, because I think that it could get done in the first round. Well, one, if Buckley wins, it's going to be done in the first round. Yep. And then two, I see him tailing off early in the second round for Holland to get the win. So even if it's under 1.5, I think I'd be pretty confident betting on that fight.
Absolutely. So, man, starting off the main card, we have Beneil Dariush, man, 18-4, fighting Hot Sauce Scott Holtzman, who's 14-3. Currently, Dariush is the minus 175 favorite with the comeback on Holtzman at plus 145. Good fight right here, man. Really good fight to open up the card. Dariush is never in a boring fight.
Absolutely, yes.
On the 4-fight win streak, I know I've told all you guys so many times. I have watched his round with Turcar Close probably 25 times. And if there's a round that you show a newcomer to MMA, it's that fucking round right there, man. That is, I mean, that's all heart, man. Benny was almost out on his feet. And when he landed that one and smelt the blood, bro, he went after him too. He stepped into that overhand left that he hit him with, dude. I could watch that all day. He comes in with a great game plan. Does it sometimes let him down due to his age and just being a lot slower, in my opinion, on the feet than some of those guys? Absolutely. But Beneil comes in there to execute a game plan, and he, for the most part, really does stick to it. Super, super underrated wrestling. Puts together his striking and grappling super well. My worry, man, is Holtzman starts off hot. He tends to fade late, but he starts off hot. And we've seen Benny get KO'd. The chin has let him down. I think the fight is a little bit closer than the odds say. MMA math doesn't really add up. We touched on Drew Dober there, where Benny has submitted him, and he lost. Scott Holtzman, I think, lost to him or something like that. That doesn't always add up, I think I kind of touched on what Scott has, man. He's got power early. Trains out of Knoxville, like we said there, talking about that and everything. So gotta love a good Tennessee boy and everything, man. But he's up against a legit veteran here, and a veteran that's better than Jim Miller, in my opinion. Then he's still got some left in him. Not a bad underdog play by no means, but I think the later this fight goes, the more you got to favor Beneil to take this one by decision with the wrestling.
Yeah. I think that they're going to start strong. I could see a pretty wild first round, and then I could see him start settling in and Beneil start taking over in those later rounds. Something to note, Scott Holtzman, he's never been finished. So I don't necessarily see Dariush being able to knock him out. I've got Dariush winning this via decision, even though I do think that it's about even, as far as fight picks. So I see the value in betting Holtzman, although it's tough for me to pick against Dariush here. I think that he'll probably get it done and by decision, strictly off of that experience that he has, and him having the win over Dober and Scott Knott, that's at least something to note. We saw that he was able to, or Holtzman was able to beat Jim Miller. I don't know what that's saying right now, though. Then our next one, Yana Kunitskaya versus Julija Stoliarenko. It starts off as a minus 220 for Yana and a plus 200 for Stoliarenko. I didn't know anything about Stoliarenko before this fight. I had to look her up and notice she's on a 5-fight win streak, 4 of those coming by armbar. What's her record? I don't have that written down.
9-3.
So 9-3, 8 of those 9 wins are by armbar. So we definitely know the game plan that she's coming in there with. I haven't been able to actually watch any footage of her, but I'd be curious to see how she's getting them to the ground. That's something I haven't been able to answer. So I don't think she has like a Ronda judo background or anything like that. So I'm curious to see how she gets her hands around Yana and brings her down. Yana's big.
Yeah.
That's not an easy girl to take down. It's very similar to Holly Holm, just broad, lanky. She's big for that division, so I can't imagine it being easy. Yana coming off that Aspen Ladd loss, she, I think you touched on it. She was winning that fight up until that last round, and then Aspen Ladd kind of got a fire lit under her ass by her coaches and came out there and finished it. But Yana's she's looked good. One other thing to note is early on in her career, she has a loss by armbar. I don't know if that's telling you anything about this fight, but you do at least know that she's susceptible in it, or at least she has been in the past. So I would stay away from this fight 100%. I don't see value on Yana at minus 220. If anything, a prop bet on Julija by sub, $10, whatever you might do as a small prop bet, that might be the best for this fight specifically. Other than that, I'd stay away from it.
I'm right there with you, brother. Stay away, man. Yana's taking this fight on short notice. I don't like to read too much into it, but Yana's chin has let her down before, man. She's been finished by Cyborg, finished by Aspen Ladd. It's rare that you see a girl with a couple knockout losses on a resume like that. So my money will never be played on Yana right there. We've seen her win 2 rounds against Aspen Ladd and then just, take a left hook and be put on her butt. You touched on it. Super good size for that division. She should win this fight. But, man, Julija seems like she knows what she's doing if she gets that armbar locked in. So the threat is there, man. But Yana,
were you able to see any footage on her?
No, man, I wasn't. I had no videotape on her or anything. She has been on The Ultimate Fighter though, so she's got some experience. The 9-3, also has a couple extra exhibition belts and stuff on there too. So she's fought some UFC level competition girls and stuff, but Yana should take this one, man.
Yeah.
Then getting to our last 3 fights of the night, man, and in my opinion, where they start getting really, really good. We got 11-5, Darren the Dentist Stewart fighting Coconut Bombs. Maki Pitolo is 13-5. Currently, they've got Stewart at the minus 170 favorite, with the comeback on Coconut Bombs at plus 140. Man, I don't mind doing the co-main. Go ahead. I know you're interested in this one and stuff.
Yeah. So something to note for Maki. I've seen him listed at 5'8". I've seen him listed at 5'10". So he's somewhere in between those. But either way, he's substantially smaller than Darren Stewart. Mm-hmm. Maki has a win over Charles Byrd, but outside of that, I haven't really seen him, fight UFC caliber. Darren Stewart, he's gonna, if Maki is 5'8", he's coming in at 4 inches taller, and he has 2 wins recently over smaller fighters. Duran Wynn being 5'7", and Charles Byrd, who's 5'10". So he has experience with smaller fighters, and we've seen him just kind of outclass them, not allow him to close that distance. That being said, Darren, he throws to finish. Every single one of his strikes, he's throwing with absolute power. So that's definitely something to watch out. And, his last loss coming to Shabazian. I don't think you can fault him for that. Shabazian is legit, and it was a split decision loss that some people saw going to Darren. So, I've got Darren via decision. I don't see much value in it just because Maki does carry the power to knock anybody out at that weight class. Mm-hmm. But I could definitely see Maki having trouble getting inside Darren's, closing that distance against Darren. So I see Darren by decision. That's what I'm going with.
Nice. Stewart is a little bit in a sticky situation. So last UFC loss was to Edmund there, but Stewart was one of those fighters that when UFC London fell apart, he decided that he was going to take the main event spot on the Cage Warriors fight that was the same night. So complete late change of opponent, and he actually lost, man. So didn't turn out as planned. But the guy must have watched the Edmund Shabazian fight because he didn't give Darren an inch to breathe, man. I mean, he just tried to clinch him and grapple him the entire fight. Stewart had a lot of hype coming into the UFC, and then he started off 0-3. Since then, won 4 of his last 5 men in the UFC, with the only loss being to Shabazian, which, I mean, he's got a number by his name and just fought Derrick Brunson. It's
right.
Regardless of how he just performed, you can't count that as a bad loss. This fight right here, man, is going to be a good one. Both of these guys carry a ton of power in their hands, but I really do think if Stewart wants to make it an easy fight, he can go out here and get Maki down and put him away. Maki has no wrestling, but he's back at 85 where he's undefeated. I don't know if it's the weight cut, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago, man. I can't overlook the Callum Potter loss at 170. I just absolutely can't, man. Pitolo should have murdered him. He straight up should have murdered him. Everybody says it's the weight cut. I'd like to think it is, man, because I like Maki Pitolo. I love to watch him fight. But Hawaiians have not had the best of luck as of late.
No. And maybe it is because of them having to train, Zoom training and not being able to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, I mean, multiple Hawaiians we have seen not go as planned.
That being said, do you have any bets on this one, or would you bet on this one?
So I try to stay away from the prop bets a little bit, but dude, at a plus 120, this fight not going to the judges, I'm all over it, bro. Pitolo, I mean, at 185, he's never seen the judges, and he is at such a grappling disadvantage that Darren Stewart can come out, and a size disadvantage. Mm-hmm. Darren Stewart has potential to get this one done very easily with his grappling, in my opinion. Darren Stewart has gone to decision some in the UFC, but it's when guys take away his punches and try to grapple him and try to clinch him up against the fence, and Pitolo ain't going to do that, man. He's got man. I'm excited for this. I think we'll talk about it later. That's going to be a good fight. And then our co-main, man, we got Chris Weidman, 14-5. Versus Omari Akhmedov, 20-4. I'm going to go ahead and get this one because I know you're interested in that main event a little bit more than I am. Man, since winning the belt, Weidman is 1-5 in his last 6 fights, man. He had one of the best come-ups in the UFC. He thrown the GOAT twice. It was shitty situations, but he still beat the GOAT, Anderson Silva, twice,
I love those wins. I'd fault Anderson for those wins.
Right, absolutely. But in the one win, man, in the last 6 fights, it was the Kelvin Gastelum where he got saved by the bell in the first fight. or in the first round. Gastelum was literally pounding his head into the mat when the bell rang. All that aside, man, Chris White, those losses are, like I said, are to fucking Rockhold and Souza and Yoel and
Dominic Reyes.
Dominic Reyes, when you dabble at two, who gave John Jones the hardest fight of his career, in your up a weight class. A dude who's going to rock your shit every time he punches you. Rockhold or Weidman didn't have no business being in there with Reyes.
Chris loses that fight 8 out of 10 times, maybe more.
Man. Absolutely. This is a step down in competition for him, but it is not a safe step down in competition for him, man. And that's what I love about the middleweight division. There's no easy fights, man. You can't give some of these older guys a step down in competition, and their head's still very likely to get taken off, man. Weidman is a much more talented fighter, and if he puts it together for 15 minutes, I think he can win this easy, man. But nobody should overlook Omari, man. He is on a 2 or 3 fight win streak or something. He just beat Ian Heinisch. He's used to fighting some big guys, man, who take a lot to be put away. Chris Weidman hasn't shown that he takes a lot to be put away lately. Quits on himself. But at the same time, Chris has shown very good moments in a lot of those fights before losing them. Outside, the Dominic Reyes. He took down Yoel, man. He looked very good. I think he was winning the Yoel fight before that one happened and stuff.
Stand-up, he was doing fine against Souza. I think that he proved that he was a better striker than Souza.
Absolutely, man. Weidman has just got the shit end of the stick lately, and if he comes out here and he's not careful, he can go the very same way. That being said, I could not pass up pick'em odds. I just can't. Mm-hmm. You got an ex-champ versus a guy who, in my opinion, is never going to touch the belt. Still a very good fighter who poses some threats that Chris has shown to have some weaknesses to as of late. But if the chin holds up, man, Chris's wrestling is much superior. I know Omari's got very good wrestling, man. It shouldn't be overlooked. But Chris has got the All-American wrestling, man. It's on another level. I think the Rockhold fight just really did a number on his chin and stuff, man. He took a fucking beating, man. That fight should have been stopped. It was stopped by the bell, went to the next round where Rockhold just pounded him in some more and stuff. So neither one of them guys have been the same since that fight, to be honest with you.
No.
But at a plus 115 pick 'em, man, I'm all over those Chris Weidman odds right there, man.
Have to be. I also took the same odds. You mentioned he's 1-5 in his last 6. All 5 of those by KO loss. Makes you suspect of his chin against anybody. And I think, outside of the top 5 at 185, I think if you match up Weidman against anybody outside of the top 5 at 185, you can pretty much say the same thing. I think that he has a better skill set, but we just got to hope that his chin can hold up. I really do. I think that'll be the story of his UFC career from this point out, is can he avoid the power punches. Omari, he throws, whenever I was watching his film, it looks like he throws looping punches. He has a lot of hooks that he throws, and Weidman's actually pretty good about blocking looping punches.
You've seen him finish the greats.
Right, where like Reyes, he's throwing that straight right or straight left right down the middle, and even Jacare Souza's, it hit him on the forehead, but that was a straight right. Mm-hmm. Right, so I'm thinking as long as, let's say Omari keeps the same fighting style he has been using, I think Chris Weidman's going to be able to close that distance, block the shots that he needs to be able to get in on him. Mm-hmm. Another thing is Chris doesn't do well whenever he's backing up. We see a lot of, how James Vick will back up with his chin up in the air? Well, Chris, he kind of has a similar thing where he'll throw out a jab real long and have one side block, but he kind of utilizes his head movement as he's circling back, and that leaves him open for an overhand right, which I could see happening. If Chris loses this fight, overhand right while he's backing up is what I see happening, and Omari just coming in. Outside of that, Omari, he's a counter puncher. So if I think Chris is going to be able to push that pace, come in and block the shots that he needs to get his arms around him and get him down. Omari, he's fought at 170 before. He's never been a big 185er, and Chris just fought up at 205. I think we're going to see a big size difference. We're going to see Weidman be able to take him down and utilize what I imagine his game plan is for anybody that he fights. It's just about taking those first couple shots. I honestly think if Chris could just take 2 or 3 decent shots and prove to himself that he still has the chin, because I'm sure he has some mental doubts, just like everybody else. But I think if he could just take a few, realize that his chin is still there, he'll have the that championship mindset that he usually has, and he'll be able to get this done relatively easy, way better than pick'em odds, if you ask me.
Which they're not pick'em anymore. I know Weidman is a little bit of a favorite now.
Yeah, I saw it. It's not much, but he's like a -120, and Omari's a +118.
Nice.
And I do think that it'll only increase from there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Even now at a -120, I don't think Weidman's a bad pick. I'd pick him at anything under a -140, to be honest with you.
Nice. Brother, go ahead with that main event. I know you got to play on that.
Okay, so Alexey, the boa constrictor Oleinik, versus Derrick Lewis. Give me some records on them. I didn't write that down.
Derrick Lewis is 23-7, and we got Alexey going for his 60th win, man, 59-13.
With 46 submission victories. He ceases to amaze me. I really like Alexey Oleinik, and we've seen him kind of meet, I think, his threshold. He just got, he beat Fabricio. Just recently lost to JDS and Walt Harris. Fuck. Okay, so Walt Harris. Right. Walt Harris, in my opinion, is twice the athlete that Derrick Lewis is. Derrick Lewis, in my opinion, was fighting above his threshold for the last 6 fights that he's had. He has great knockout power, but he was getting outclassed in the Alexander Volkov fight until he got that 3rd-round knockout. We've seen, whenever he fights Daniel Cormier or somebody else with just a good wrestling, we've seen glaring problems in Derrick Lewis's game whenever it comes to wrestling. He's got that fuck you power where he's just able to stand up whenever he gets taken down. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that against somebody who's his same size. I get that Alexey Oleinik is a dinosaur and walks around like he's a stiffened board. But if he does get his hands around you, he doesn't need to take you down to get the sub. We've seen it with a couple of his Ezekiel choke wins. That's what I'm calling is an Alexey Oleinik win by Ezekiel choke, exactly how the Junior Albini fight went. He's going to clinch up with him, get inside a Derrick Lewis overhand right, and just lock it up and fall back. I've got Alexey Oleinik by sub, and I cannot believe I got him at plus he was at one point a +260 opening odds. Mm-hmm. Right now he's like a +180 or +170.
Yep.
I think that is beautiful odds. I will take Alexey Oleinik all day. I've just seen glaring problems with Derrick Lewis's ground game, and unless he can get him out early, I don't understand those odds at all. And I'm curious to see how Derrick Lewis comes in. Is he going to come in at 240, at 250, and show us that he's actually been training cardio-wise and preparing for this fight, or is he going to come in eating a half rack of ribs and having to take a shit, So I've got Alexey Oleinik by sub, within under 4.5 rounds for sure.
If you want our little bet of the podcast to be on this one right here, I am so down, man. Exact opposite of you, brother. Derrick Lewis, man. Both of the guys absolutely show glaring issues. Like, they really do. Both of them have a weakness that gets them both finished kind of regularly. Derrick Lewis, though, man, it is scary to say that, like, the most active UFC person since getting signed is a heavyweight. He stays fighting, like, 4 times a year, man. But he's super open about, he got his title fight, but he did it for the money, bro. He's in it for the money, I like it, and then part of me doesn't like it because being there for the money, bro, you're quick to give up sometimes and stuff. And Derrick Lewis sometimes loses heart if the fight does get a little grindy, He was gifted the win in Houston when we were there, man, against Latifi. But Latifi and DC, they utilize the wrestling way more than Oleinik does. I like that you said that you see it kind of going like the Albini fight, because Alexey is not going to come out here and shoot a single leg high crotch or something like Latifi and DC were able to do. It's not his style of fight. They both, I believe, are actually on a 2-fight win streak. Derrick Lewis has beaten Blagoy and then Latifi. Alexey has beaten, what was
Fabricio and
Green, and then Fabricio in the last one. None of those guys have power to put his lights out. I don't think he was scared to run in there and strike with them, to close the distance with them. People like Alistair Overeem and Walt Harris who do have the power, Alexey is super shy to enter the pocket with them. He's very hesitant to get in there, but both of those guys were also giving him the threat up the knee, up the middle and stuff. And Lewis really isn't going to threaten you with that. We've seen him throw high kicks and knees, but it's
never lands.
Never lands. But call me crazy, bro. Lewis has the better cardio here. I promise. Alexey straight gasses. And for it to be 5 rounds, that really worries me because we've seen Derrick Lewis get a ton of late finishes where he's getting his ass kicked, comes back. The part that I'm really worried about, man, if Alexey gets it down, I think Lewis is just going to be too strong. I think when he wants to stand up, he's going to be able to stand up. He's gonna come in 20, 30 pounds heavier, and dude, Lewis surprises everybody. He's like 6'5", dude. He's a big dude. I think he's gonna have just an unreal raw power advantage in there that Alexey is gonna struggle with, man.
I don't think that if Alexey is able to get him down, that he's going to be able to keep him down. I also don't think that Alexey's going to go for a type of submission or any type of takedown where he needs to control him. I think it'll be takedown, submission, almost instantaneously. It'll be a grab a Kimura and rip it, or get that Ezekiel choke, or immediately search for it, because he knows. I mean, he's got to know that Derrick has at least 3 to 4 fuck you strength, I'm getting up regardless of whether you like it or not. A couple more things. His losses. So looking them up, Curtis Blades, Overeem, and Walt Harris.
I know, man.
Fuck, man. I give.
He's never gonna beat those guys anytime in his career.
Right. And then the Overeem. I think Derrick Lewis versus Overeem. I don't know if they fought yet, but that would be a great fight, because that would be just testing Overeem's chin. Outside of that, though. Hell yeah, I'd expect Walt Harris, Overeem, and Curtis Blades to beat Alexey any day of the week. But some of the wins, I think, speak even more to why Derrick Lewis is about to lose this. The Junior Albany win, that's a similar body style, at least, to Derrick Lewis. Right after the Junior Albany win, Mark Hunt win.
Yeah, I know, which is such a similarity to Derrick Lewis.
I agree. He's not as big, so there's the discrepancy, but a Mark Hunt win, damn, dude, that's big time for me. And then Maurice Green, not the same. It's not the same. I still think that that's a notable win, but it's not the same. He's not the same caliber, anything like that. And then Fabricio, their stand-up just kind of negated each other, or their ground game negated each other, and it became a stand-up war. That was a rough fight. That was a sloppy-ass fight.
Alexey landed like 70-something strikes in the first round against Fabricio.
That's crazy. That's
that I was just not ready for. I keep saying it every one of his fights, and he's really proven me wrong. I'm wondering when the age is going to show for Alexey. When the 75 fights are gonna show, man. There's gonna be a training camp where it takes a toll on your body for the first time. But he's not going to have a ton of energy output right here in this Lewis fight, You
know how I think I've seen a couple of Alexey Oleinik wins where he's got more of like a bulldog choke and he finishes it. I could see something like that where I don't think Alexey's going to look for the most technical of submissions. I think that he's going to get in there and just blow out his arms if he needs to, but just hang on to something and try and get Derrick Lewis to quit. Derrick Lewis does not mind quitting.
No.
That sucks to say, but I've seen him quit. Alexey, he's been in some deep waters, but I don't think I've ever seen him quit.
We've also seen Derrick Lewis get so many late finishes after being beat up, bro. I
just got to hope that he takes it serious.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know which Derrick Lewis you're going to get, man.
Right.
I will say, I don't know if you saw it. I think I sent it on Twitter earlier where they sent Alexey's food to Derrick Lewis on accident.
Yes, and he's spitting it.
He looks skinny.
He does look good. That's why I'm curious. If he gets on the scale at 245, maybe it is some rough bets on Alexey Oleinik. But if Derrick Lewis comes in at 260 plus, just like every other fight, and he's not making any changes, I can't imagine he's started a wrestling heavy training camp. So he's not going to make up that difference between him and Alexey as far as the ground game. So I can't imagine him spending too much time on it.
I don't think you can call your bet on Alexey bad no matter what, man. It started at a plus 260 and it's down to plus 170. That is absolutely where the value is at, if that's what anybody has shown you.
Right.
I don't think you can ever say that that's a bad bet whatsoever.
At the same time, it's a puncher's it's a puncher's chance for Derrick Lewis. That being said, it's a heavyweight puncher's chance, so it's much more likely than any other weight class.
And we saw Alexey struggle with, like, Overeem would hit him with, a knee and keep him in the clinch and hit him with stuff. Walt Harris hit him with the knee and then a straight left. Derrick Lewis it's 1-2. It's not. If he can get his head out of the way, it's going to be the same punches that he's got to avoid. But he just got to avoid, man. Alexey doesn't have the chin to take even one of them, in my opinion. I think
I agree with that.
He goes down.
That being said, Alistair, he was able to pick whenever he wanted to engage. Same with Walt. It was like they were just their footwork alone gave them the ability to gauge and disengage whenever they wanted to. Where Derrick Lewis walks around like a fat boy. He's got the flattest feet in the division, if you ask me. He might have the worst footwork in the division. I know that's
UFC, man.
Huh?
The UFC.
Yeah, the UFC, for real. I don't know if there's another guy in the UFC that has worse footwork. He walks around like Francis did after the third round of Stipe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, but he's gotten it done. I mean, shoot, he's fought for the title with that same game plan, so I can't necessarily fault him. He just has so many glaring issues that an Alexey plus 200, get out of here, man. I'll take that all day.
I think so too, man. So what's your fight of the night? What's the one to watch there, man?
Fight of the night, man. Omari Akhmedov versus Chris Weidman. That's going to answer a lot of questions, and it'll tell you if Chris Weidman's going to continue his career, in my opinion. I think if we see him lose this one, there's not a lot of upside in him continuing his career. This is a big one for him, and I think he has all the tools to do it. Hopefully he can do it while also taking a couple of shots and kind of proving to us that he still has a chin.
Yeah. It took me.
What about you?
I'm really back and forth on like a set of 3 fights that I feel like are going to be like fireworks, man. I think there's 3 fights on this fight that 100% end with a finish, or very exciting fights. But man, for me, I think I'm going to have to go with Darren Stewart and Maki Pitolo. It's fireworks every time both of them enter in there. You got the dentist versus coconut bombs. And then Stewart, taking a gamble and getting on that Cage Warriors card for it to not play out like you want to. He's coming there to take somebody's head off, in my opinion. And Maki comes out there just to put on a show and throw bombs at you. So that's without a doubt. I think that's my fight destined to be fireworks, and I'm going to watch. My fighter to watch, though, it's definitely going to be Chris Weidman, man, without a doubt. I want to see what kind of head he comes in on his shoulders with on Saturday. And I think we both can agree that if he just does what he's very capable of doing, should be an easy path to 15-minute victory here for him.
What are your other 2 that finish? I'm assuming Gavin Tucker, Justin Jaynes.
Yeah, Gavin Tucker and Justin Jaynes, and not necessarily so much of a finish, but the Andrew Sanchez and Wellington Thurman fight it's going to be good while it lasts. I think that's some big.
I think I got that at a plus 260 under 2.5 rounds, and I love that bet.
Yeah, I like that one to get a finish. We've seen Sanchez's chin let him down some, but I like that one too. But also, I'm back and forth on the Means fight, man. Tim Means always puts on a good show. And if he doesn't just go out there and get humped for 15 minutes by Staropoli, it can be a good fight, man.
I think so too. We could see him definitely overwhelm Staropoli early. I'd love to see him get the dub inside the distance, but I see him outpointing him. I got that one by decision, Tim Means.
Nice.
Anything else? Let's see. Let's hope Yana can avoid the armbar.
Yeah, that's the path of victory for that one girl, man. That's really about it.
For sure. You got the Holland, the Kevin Holland, Joaquin Buckley. That one's going inside the distance.
Yeah, that one's going inside the distance as well.
Okay.
So, man, we are tracked at betmma.tips. That is the tracking website handicappers use. We are tracked on there every week. I don't think we went positive last week after Carlos Sparks.
The Joanne Calderwood.
Yeah, you're right. The Joanne Calderwood, that's what caused us to go negative. But even with the Marina Rodriguez loss the week before, we still went positive there. So definitely
we picked the Dalby finish under 2.5. Yeah.
So give us a follow on there, man. We're definitely going to track all of our bets. My old one, MMA mock picks, you can still track every single one of my picks I track the entire fight card. So right now I think I've got like 67 wins and 43 losses. So I'm sitting at picking them right about 67% of the time or something like that. So I'm always tracked there. I know you started it as well. So
mine's called Pro Choice Picks. Actually, I got like my first follower yesterday, so that's kind of cool. I think I'll start doing the whole fight card like you do, and then from what I understand, we're gonna pick our separate ones on our own MMA bet tips, and then we're gonna have only the fights that we can both agree on the early weigh-in podcast picks on that website,
as well as hopefully getting more active on Twitter, on Instagram. And whenever I get over this shit, get to do a little live streaming on Twitch for a fight companion or something. That'll be fun.
Right. And hopefully you didn't give me what you have right now. So
I'm hoping so, man. So we got an excellent night of fights. In the co-main event, we got Chris Weidman taking a step down in competition, trying to get back on the right track. And Alexey Oleinik, the boa constrictor, versus Derrick, the Black Beast Lewis. It's going down this Saturday, man. Hope it's a profitable Saturday night for us both. Anything you add before we get out of here?
Yeah, real quick for next weekend's fight card. I know we're definitely going to talk on it more, but before the lines change, right now it's sitting at a pick on DC or Stipe. You want to give your pick on that one real quick? Not what's going to happen, just what your pick is.
DC, brother.
I've got DC as well. I think DC at Pick'em odds is a good pick. So I think we're both going to agree on that and use that for our website.
Definitely don't want to dive into it, man, because I could speak about that one.
No, yeah, you could do it all night. I know, but DC, I think he wins this trilogy fight.
Absolutely, man. So back next week for UFC 252. Got a pay-per-view to break down. Got our boy in the co-main event. Can't wait to be back, man. Again, I hope we both cash this weekend. Take care, brother. Look forward to
Very excited. Thank you, bud.